The very young do not always do what they are told. Keiaira warned her precious daughter not to be so rash. Yet Keiaira, despite her anger and sorrow, understood her daughter's purpose. She understood Kwajalynn's desire to protect, to stand and fight. Kwajalynn might die to save her family. Time and time again, Keiaira warned her children. She tried her best to protect her children from the Mare curses, to protect them as best she could. With every ounce of her being, Keiaira tried to keep the evil within her family tree beyond them. She tried so hard to keep the door of the Mare family cure closed, but Malikite's sword answered the door, and Kwajalynn's death will allow the evil to enter. All too well, Keiaira knows what is to come, and for a brief moment, she was tempted to destroy her daughter's lifeless body. Tears entered the corner of her eyes as Keiaira's gaze moved off her dying child. Keiaira could feel the evil close around her oldest daughter's feminine form, an evil that could consume the whole of the Mare Galaxy, the whole of the elemental realm, unknown to all but a handful of people. Keiaira Mare and her 3 children, Kwajalynn, Borus, and Naomi Mare, are all blood relative of the Mare Galaxy's goddess Azure Mare, as well as the curse that's more than well known by more than a handful of people in the Mare Galaxy. You see, when a Mare is mortality wounded, her body is possessed by an ancient ancestral evil that is older than the Mare Galaxy itself. Keiaira experienced this firsthand onslaught while competing as an elemental warrior. She was never close to death, but her body was torn apart, shattered and broken literally. Keiaira lost control of her own will long enough to injure a lot of people. That memory is why Keiaira Mare stopped living the life of a warrior. Now it appears to be her daughter's turn. Keiaira hopes to never see this day, the day Kwajalynn's spirit fade by the second. Kwajalynn's dark brown skin began to turn dark ebony. Her beautiful, youthful black, now lifeless eyes reflected no sign of life, slowly growing cold, the youth draining from them, giving way to age lines, and the beautiful, full blackness turning gray, almost white, demonic evil and flash with hatred. Healthy, full body, large, curled, cotton texture, black fur. Lost body, thin, slightly gray, and became aged in appearance. Her natural square face and jawline morphed and restructured, taking on a rounder appearance with all the articulation of the undead. Kwajalynn possessed body slowly floated to its feet, drained of nearly all of its blood. Lynn's entire outfit was blood red. Some parts so dark with blood they appeared black. Under possession, Kwajalynn examined herself, then became aware of her surroundings, gazing at Keiaira once she became aware of her presence. You. Keiaira's daughter's body spoke with a sinister smile. Release my child. Keiaira ordered her daughter's heavy fan blade in hand. This body will fail me. She is too weak, too young. Does this one belong to you? Yes, of course. You two are of the same blood. Yes, I can feel it. Your power is immense, greater than entire nations. Yes, your body will serve me well. Kwajalynn possessed body promised, going into an offensive stance. Her wounds were still bad, but now after being possessed with the demon healing powers of evil was no longer fatal. I can't allow you to enter this world, demon, even if it means the death of my daughter. Keiaira's words brought a smile to Kwajalynn's face. When I said you were strong, I didn't mean you were stronger enough to defeat me, Kwajalynn boosted. Spencer, I don't intend to beat you, just send you back to where you came. I've spent some time working on techniques to combat you, and as destructive as it will be, my child shall survive, and you will be sent back where you belong. Alicia wasn't sure what was going on. She recklessly jumped off of the planet Mare and out of the Azure system, headed on an escape vector toward the edge of the Mare Galaxy. So to arrive close to her designation by waygate unassisted by FTL stellar vehicle, by her willpower alone, Alicia traverses the void between star systems. BSK Prime burned bright in the vacuum as Alicia approached one of its orbiting worlds. The stellar body BSK Prime, indiscriminately providing warmth and light to all of its orbiting celestial worlds, oblivious to the events unfolding on the celestial world that it shared its name with. Around the star, BSK Prime was just as annoying as Alicia was. What Alicia didn't know is that the events unfolding on the celestial world BSK Prime were bad. In a matter of minus a power so great, It seemed to be all around her, and she was still several trillion miles away from it. It took all of her concentration to home and in on the source of the massive power, and Alicia knew that near this massive power somewhere stood Keiaira. Until Alicia could help, Keiaira was the only thing standing in between life and death for the whole of the Mare Galaxy. The atmosphere of her destination world scorched at Alicia assigned flesh as she descended upon the planet Bosca Prime, trying to get her daughter, Keiaira Mare. When she sensed it, the sensation left her motionless just off the coast of one of the larger continents. She was approaching, the sky darkens, and the clouds slowly faded away. The last time Alicia had seen Keiaira, she'd been warned of the threat to the Mare Galaxy. She was the burden of being a mare, and with the help of another, Keiaira was taught to shield herself from the evil. In the aftermath of a massive explosion, Keiaira could be shielded from the evil possession that threatens to possess her, but anyone caught in the blast would have their soul ripped out of their body. No elemental could survive that blast, and the blast would be big, Alicia knows. How big, she could never say, but now it appeared that she was finding out. The explosion toppled trees and uprooted grass. An explosion plum could be seen just on the edge of the planet's horizon, its rapid expansion relatively slow to Alicia's perception, still several miles away. Nevertheless, it was large, covering an area of 4 or 5 square miles. A wave of dirt, stone, and full-grown trees, freshly uprooted, rolled across the forest, destroying all in its wake. Then, as quickly as it began, it ended. Huge clouds of smoke rose from a now burning forest, all that was left in its wake due to its massive and destructive power. It was clear to Alicia as she presses onward that the blast created rolling hills several hundred feet high, and the center, with a sudden descent toward its center several hundred feet deep at the creator core, would be found Keiaira. Alicia's heart nearly stopped beating at the sight. It has been almost 20 years since she has last seen her daughter, and she hoped to be reunited under better circumstances. But more importantly, she needed to figure out what was going on. If the other master found Keiaira, she might be imprisoned for all eternity, for the safety of all elemental everywhere. Something wasn't quite right, Keiaira soon discovered. For though at first she couldn't feel a second nearby power, it seems very familiar, almost close to her in a way she couldn't understand. It also felt faint too. Too faint, Alicia understood. Thank the elements, it worked. Keiaira spoke low as she carried her daughter toward the edge of the creator. Until now, Keiaira never really appreciated how strong her daughter truly was, and even more importantly, Keiaira knew now how important training was to protect herself from the curse of Mare. The very training she'd abandoned because it was too boring was not just to her, but to the entire realm as well as her family. What happened? Lynn spoke low, the sun rays blinding as she opened her dark brown eyes. Where am I? She questioned again, pulling at her mother's shoulder. Tears assaulted Kwajalyn's forehead and ran down her face. You're safe, Keiaira managed through uncontrolled crying, helping Kwajalynn to stand, supporting her daughter as needed. Kwajalynn grabbed her sides after the world came into focus, despite the pain from the wound. I was defeated by Ma. Kwajalyn's fingers, despite the pain, ran along. Her soon-to-be-healed scar, but still fresh wound, no longer bleeding. It was still very much deep and fresh. Very fresh. Mother, are we dead? Kwajalynn questioned. No, Lynn, not yet. The crying was beginning to lose its grip on Keiaira. We are where we should be, Lynn. This is Bosca Village. This was our home. The air was still hot from the blast, thick with dirt as well. The weight of what her mother said pressed down on Kwajalynn, and her knees gave out. Her home, the entire village, the entire forest was gone. She dreamed of power like that, but now her dream had become a nightmare. Denial sunk in. It wasn't real. None of it was real. How could it be? Then something more important, more urgency hit Kwajalynn. Where are they, Mother? Lynn stood so fast she nearly passes out from the pain. Where's Dad? Where's Borus? Where's my little sister? Were they here when this happened? Kwajalynn grabbed at her mother in an embracing hug, talking comfort in Keiaira's thick, locked-style, burgundy, woolly hair. They are safe, Lynn, for the moment, but you must worry about them later. Right now, you must heal and listen to what I must tell you. Keiaira's composure had returned. Although she hadn't told her daughter yet, she used this moment to let her mother know that, in fact, she knows they were being watched. And for the first time in over 20 years, Keiaira and Alicia's eyes met, and like her mother, Keiaira had wished it was on better circumstances.